Hey everyone, imagine that these are the most expensive movie sessions ever because the price will be your life. So get ready, because this is the second part of Cinema Nightmare. Let's dive into the story. Continuing our horror stories, a priest is walking at night when he passes by the Rialto Cinema, which is also premiering a movie with his name. Out of curiosity, he decides to go in. As soon as he enters the theater, the floor is covered in blood, and the projectionist appears, telling him that he has the right movie for him. He tells the priest to sit down because he will find the answer he's been looking for by the end. And that's where the movie begins. At a Catholic school, everyone is living their lives when a young boy climbs onto the roof and threatens to jump. No one understands why he's doing this, so one of the nuns climbs up to try to convince him not to go through with it. But here we realize that the young boy isn't really the one on the roof. It's actually the devil, speaking through his body, saying that he would take the souls of everyone there. The boy jumps, and the story ends tragically. The other students witness what happened, which leads to a collective trauma. At bedtime, Bianca is frightened because she was very close to Marquinhos, and her mother, Rebecca, tells her she'll always be by her side. Bianca asks if she can sleep with her, but Rebecca needs to grade the tests from the week. With everything going on, the work has to be done in the middle of the night. Rebecca is working when she begins to feel a strange presence watching her. She leaves her office and heads to the school's hallway, which is very eerie. There, she starts hearing a sound even more terrifying. In the priest's office, he isn't praying but rather eating Sister Jacqueline. Father Peter stops because he hears someone running through the halls. It could be one of the students, but since he isn't afraid of anything, he wants to keep playing. But then things get strange. They hear a scream and go to the main hallway, where they find a bloodstain on the floor that looks like a face screaming. They clean everything up to make sure no one gets scared. The next day, Bianca is sad for losing the love of her life, and some young girls start teasing her. But something enters her body, throws her into the air, and she loses a tooth to remind her to be careful. Looking at Bianca, she starts seeing a demon by her side, but it's just her mother. In the middle of the night, the young girls get out of bed, crying blood, showing that the mystery is just beginning. Sister Jacqueline is investigating the cause of all this and discovers that it's the demon Masit, who enjoys punishing people who do wrong. That convent was full of sinners, and she shows Father Peter what she has uncovered. At that moment, Marquinhos reappears and says he misses what they used to do in secret. Peter begins to rebuke him, saying that he has no power there. And guys, this guy is completely wrong and still wants to judge the devil. Marquinhos says that Bianca was possessed and controlling everything. So they summon her in the middle of the night and take her to an exorcism session. But she doesn't understand what's happening, so Rebecca takes her away and brings her back to the room. And here comes the big revelation. Masid was inside the mother's body, and now is the moment to reveal itself. It begins controlling all the young people in the place to punish the sinners. The priest and the nun realize that this fight would be the most dangerous of their lives, and they would need to fight with everything they could find. And when I say this, you might think they would pray, fast, or throw holy water, but actually, they grab some swords and knives and begin fighting the possessed. Jacqueline goes after Rebecca, who climbs to the roof, wanting to jump, but it's a trap, and both fall from the roof. However, fate smiled on Jacqueline, as she fell on top of Rebecca and survived. But inside the chapel, Peter tried to fight with all his strength, but he passed away, impaled by a cross. Jacqueline gets up, and some young people appear, waiting. And we see that it wasn't just fate that smiled on her, because now she is possessed by Masit, and the movie ends. Peter asks where that movie came from, and the projectionist comes to collect the price of the ticket, which is his life. This time, a seemingly normal woman enters the cinema. She genuinely wants to watch a movie, and the film starts, showing another version of herself in a black and white world. Jill goes to the doctor with her children because she's feeling strange, but the receptionist asks her to wait because the doctor is running late. They've already been there for over an hour, and her children begin to get impatient, saying that she is too slow and doesn't do anything right. She decides to go back to the receptionist, but when she looks, the place is dirty and old, and the receptionist's face is deformed. The receptionist says that the doctor is ready and she can't take too long, so Jill enters and begins to explain the symptoms of the last few days. She says everything and everyone is changing, as if reality is no longer the same. The doctor asks about her marriage, and she explains that 2 days ago her husband left, only saying that he was tired of everything. He then asks how she got in contact to make the appointment, and she says that her 2 children found the place and made the appointment. Somehow, they begin to act like adults, but after a while, they go back to being children. Just as the doctor is about to give his answer, he says that time is up, and she needs to leave. Jill doesn't understand anything but realizes that the doctor knows something. When she goes to find her children, the receptionist is leaving and says that Jill came alone, which makes her even more scared. Everything had already changed, and as she walks through the building, she tries to talk to the staff, but everything is rotten, and they look like monsters. She grabs a gun from her bag and threatens to shoot if they don't tell her where her children are, but no one knows anything. She goes back to the doctor's office and realizes that he was talking to her children. They reveal that they put a gun with only one bullet in her bag so that she could solve everything, and only she could do it because at an advanced stage, it would be very difficult to reverse the disease. She enters the room, and the doctor has transformed, telling her to decide what to do. She shoots him and takes the children home, but the world is completely destroyed. The movie session ends, and after reflecting for a moment, we hear a gunshot. What happened remains unclear, but I have a tip for you. Subscribe if you're new and leave a like. A young man is walking when he sees the cinema and enters because it's the first time he's ever seen an old movie theater. Upon entering, there's a large piano in the middle of the room, and since he's very talented, he sits down and starts playing. In the background, a movie begins to play, and the scene changes, showing him at a performance with his mother watching proudly from the audience. Shortly after, his father arrives late, and his wife looks at him angrily because he almost missed the event again because of work. Both parents are very proud of their son's talent, and as they get in the car, they want to go out and celebrate the big performance. But then a very drunk man appears behind the car, takes the young man hostage, and orders them to leave. The father asks what he wants and says he could take everything, but the man is nervous, so he moves toward them and gets hurt. Since the mother is making too much noise, she also gets injured. Michael runs, but he's not fast enough. Michael is taken to the operating room, and he survives because it wasn't his day. In the middle of the night, he hears his mother telling him to rest, but when he wakes up, all he sees is the medical team. Since he is very tired, they ask him to sleep, promising to explain everything soon. Once again, he wakes up in the middle of the night and sees the man who was next to him getting up and leaving the room. He follows him, and the man has his face completely stitched up, as if he had gone through something very horrible. A nurse appears and asks why he is standing, as, in his condition, he needs to rest. When Michael returns to the room, the man is sleeping as if he had never gotten up. He goes back to sleep, but dreams of his mother telling him that everything would be fine and that he needed to rest because soon they would be together, and his heart rate starts to drop. The next day, he is feeling a bit better, and the nurse says he can leave the ICU now because the atmosphere there was too heavy. He tries to ask about his parents, but she doesn't want to talk about it because it's not the right time. When it seemed like everything would be okay, while he was sleeping, the assailant appears in the room with some flowers to finish the job, but luckily a nurse appears and says that it's not visiting hours, so he leaves. Michael starts walking around the hospital and sees several people walking as if they were zombies. Then, Casey appears and asks if he's seeing it too. She explains that you start to see these things after being dead for a while, and she was gone for 3 minutes, while he was gone for 17 minutes. Michael tells her what happened since he remembers everything about the incident, and she says she tried to die, but it didn't work. And we know what happens when young people with tragic stories come together, only true friendships. Casey tells him that he needs to be careful because, since the dead can't return, they somehow want to be close to those who were. And since he was dead for so long, he would have a stronger connection to them. He is sleeping when his mother appears once again and says that now they can be together. His heart rate starts to drop once more, but Casey appears and tells him not to accept it. The nurse arrives and takes her away. The problem is that when she gets to his room, Michael's mother is waiting there, and everyone hears a scream. She is found deceased, and everyone believes she was the one who did it. In the middle of the night, he is feeling sad and goes to the bathroom, but the assailant appears to finish the job. He barely manages to run and tries to ask for help, but the staff on that floor are all deceased. He runs to the morgue and hides in a drawer where Casey's body is. Everything goes quiet, and he tries to escape, but the assailant is waiting and chases him. Now, there's no way to run, and he would visit his mother in the afterlife. But at the last second, he draws strength from within and drives a stake into the assailant's head, saving the day. Or did he? Because now he would be hunted by the assailant, who would try to end him in other ways. But luckily, the movie ends, and the projectionist says that he was still very young and would have a chance to live. But his fate was already written, and everyone else who watched the movie would be trapped in the cinema. And if you've survived until here, then you're a winner. So, leave a like and subscribe if you're new because I want to reach 20,000 subscribers, and I need your help. Also, comment something to help with the algorithm. Now, I'm off. Thanks to everyone, and goodbye.